You guys, my brother sent me this article about Chadwick Boseman dying intestate without a will. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to come on here and reiterate the importance of estate planning. Before we get into the topic, if it's your first time here, this is the Legal Code, and on this channel we discuss a wide range of legal topics, whether that's to get your small business up to the next level. Estate planning is a labor of love of mine. Contracts, what you need to look out for, legal pitfalls, whether or not your business is exposed to any liability. We discuss it here. And if you like that sort of thing, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share with anyone else you think will find value. Also, I have some legal consultation slots available. So if you would like the opportunity to work with me one-on-one to go over your estate plan, to go over your business plan, if you have legal questions that you would like to go through, if you are negotiating a contract and you need some advocacy, you can click the link in my description box. Now let's get into the topic at hand, estate planning. A lot of times I do some videos about celebrity shenanigans, but in the essence that we can learn something, that we can get something that can improve our lives. It's not a gossip channel, but people are curious about celebrities. So I try to use that to pull out legal lessons so that you can learn from their pitfalls. Because even with the arsenal of resources and money that they have, they make mistakes. You, as individuals, as regular folk like me and you, we do not have the buffer to make the mistakes that celebrities do. Their money, their resources, their access, their influence protects them and insulates them and their families. But us, if we don't estate plan, it could be devastating for us, for our families, the people that we leave behind, our children, our parents. It's devastating. It's a travesty. In this instance, Chadwick Boseman, this was reported by Radar Online. If you don't remember, he is an esteemed actor, beloved by many, and unfortunately passed away too soon. And he passed away intestate without a will, which was surprising to many of us. But the argument is, well, he was mourning, he was grieving the fact that he had cancer, and his family probably didn't think about estate planning, or maybe they didn't know. There is a large segment of our population who is just unaware of the importance of estate planning and don't understand and don't even realize how devastating it could be failing to plan, because it's costly, it's exhausting, it takes a significant amount of time, especially if you don't have the finances to put forward to pay an attorney to probate an estate. So in Chadwick's circumstances, he died in 2020. And the estate was just settled just a few days ago in 2022, just to give you an idea of how long it takes to settle. And it based on California law, because that was his residence when he passed away. His estate was valued once accounting and everything was provided to the court. His wife was in charge of administering the estate. That was the agreement that was made between he and his parents, who are still alive, that she would be the minister of the estate. And so the estate was valued at a little shy of $4 million. After taxes, fees, and everything was paid, his estate dwindled down to $2.3 million, which is a big chunk of money to go toward fees. Also, what was interesting is that even after his death, his estate was still pulling in money, which is wonderful to see. There were residual checks from his work that were over $230,000. So I know there was probably a sigh of relief for his family that, you know, he continued to provide even in his passing. So that was good that the estate could recover that. The estate could recover that and cash those checks, because if you don't recall, I mentioned in my earlier video that the importance of estate planning is that once a person passes away, this is just one aspect. Once a person passes away, an APB goes out. the accounts of that deceased person are frozen and you're not able to access any cash, take out any money, or put any money in. So in Chadwick's circumstances, checks were coming in that could not be cashed because there was no beneficiary on his account. There was no payable on death instructions on his account. So that money stayed frozen in that bank account, as well as money could not come in. So again, that's another reason why estate planning is important, because a lawyer will sit down with you, make sure you have beneficiaries on all of your accounts, so that when you die, not if, when, we know it's a guarantee for all of us, that there's a beneficiary in place, there's payable on death instructions, so that no one's left in the lurch and they can access that cash, especially if you have children or even elderly parents or anyone that you're caring for that need that cash immediately. So the widow asked for reimbursement of funeral expenses. As you can imagine, he was a celebrity, and she wanted to give him the best, the finest send-off possible. And so she asked for reimbursement for his funeral expenses, which the court granted. So the court granted reimbursement of $47,000 for funeral expenses. And so after everything was inventoried, the value of Boseman's estate was $3.8 million. Like I said, shy of $4 million. There was no real property involved, and the estate was not subject to estate taxes because the estate was less than $11.7 million. That's the threshold amount. In order to not have to pay estate taxes, the estate value has to be less than 11.7 amount, and if it's a married couple, a little over 22 million. And there was a tax bill associated with his estate, because the last year a person is alive, the administrator of the estate has to file personal tax returns on behalf of the deceased and pay any taxes that were due. In the instance of Chadwick, there was an amount owed to the IRS of $51,000. So that had to also be paid out of the estate. And right now the estate is valued at $2.5 million with $157,000 in cash, and likely more residual checks will continue to come in because, again, he has a sizable body of work. Also, what was interesting is $900,000 was held in bond to probate the case, which helped to dwindle down the estate assets. So the bond had to be posted in this case because there was no will, because he died without any instructions. So the court required the wife, the widow, to put up a bond to ensure that she did not defraud the estate. This is very standard. And unfortunately, the bond is not refundable. She will not get that money back. It just goes to the state, and that's really, really sad to see. And finally, the wife and his parents, who are still alive, agreed to split the $2.3 million between the two of them, 50% going to each of them. So it's good that there was an amicable agreement at the end, and there was not a lot of dissent, because that's not usually the case. When there's no estate plan, when there's no instructions left for those who are living, it becomes very acrimonious and ugly and contentious and time consuming. As you can see, I did a video about or referencing Prince. He's passed away for several years and his estate is still not settled, and attorneys are gouging the estate. It's just mayhem. Comedy Bank, in terms of Prince, was in charge of administrating the estate, and they make sure that they pay their attorneys handsomely. So this is another reason why estate planning is important, because the state will gouge the estate. Anyone can come and claim that they're next of kin, and that's what makes it time consuming and acrimonious and hostile. And the easy way is just to sit down with an attorney, inventory your assets, and make a plan for you and your family. It's just part of being an adult. And I understand some people are not ready, or they're too young, or they feel like they don't have assets to put into an estate plan. I get that. Or maybe you have family members who you need to bring this conversation to. They may not realize the importance of it. So speak to them, share this video with them. I do the work. I know how difficult it could be, especially with the older generation, talking to them about their assets. I know, like, mum's the word with a lot of them. They do not want to speak about their money. It's a very private matter. It's controversial and it's taboo to talk about money. I understand that. I understand that there are very difficult parents out there. I understand, like, I have a father who was actually so on board with getting his affairs in order, and that made my job easier. He was so gung-ho, and he was so relieved once the process got going. But a lot of times, like, parents are difficult, and they see their children as their children, and how dare their children tell them about the importance of estate planning, and could see it as invasive, you asking these questions or poaching these questions. But it's for your benefit to have this conversation with the older generation, because you're doing yourself a disservice. You are going to have a headache unless you hedge this conversation. It's important that you sit down as a family, as a friend, to discuss this, because otherwise you will be left in the lurch, picking up the pieces, paying handsomely to attorneys who will be gouging the estate. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it, and you can't manage it on your own. So if you're the type of person who thinks you could duct tape the instructions together to probate a case, you won't be able to do it. So do your homework, meet with an estate planning attorney. If you want to meet with me, there's some slots available. You could schedule a consultation with me, or if you don't want to meet with me, meet with someone else, but have this conversation and protect your legacy, protect the legacy of your family. And with that, I bid you farewell. I will see you next time. This is The Legal Code. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share with anyone else you think will find value. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.